I think you ought to know. Men's radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's men's radio. It's crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. Men's radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Ray Gelato.
Almost. Oh, it's gone. Oh, he's still going. Ray,
you're overplaying your hand.
Ray, shut up. Shush.
Ray,
For God's sake.
the lovely Ray Gelato there. And if you haven't ever seen our thing about Who Stole Ronnie's Pickle, please do. Now, you will notice, thank you, Phil, we had a huge technical glitch. It just wouldn't work. And so we had at the very last second.
An ever so last minute panic going on there. But we remedied, it's fine.
Hot water, lemon, and ginger.
I haven't even had time to put my other earpiece in. There you go. Right.
Nothing. It's been crazy. Right, let's just say how this made me die this morning. This made me die. So Claridge has got a day off, right? Good afternoon, everyone. At last I've got another day off and can tune in. So he sends me this message, Claridge, right? And it goes, Paul works in a place called the Tool Station. All they do is supply tools to the building trade. And a bloke comes in yesterday and goes, "Oh, excuse me, mate. Do you sell tools?" I'm just like, why don't you go into McDonald's?
It's a bit like the other day when I'm not joking. I was in a certain supermarket the other day and decided to buy a packet of smoked salmon on the back.
Crazy.
Allergy advice may contain traces of fish. Yeah, thanks for that. I hope so. That is definitely the idea. Crying out loud. I'd really much hope that if I'm buying a packet of smoked salmon, it does indeed contain traces of fish, because that was what my intention was.
What a bunch of idiots. Right. Good morning, Azadon Brown in the northeastern United States. Let's go from there. Let's go down to Houston. Good morning from a cold, crisp Houston. Do you want to swap? Neil Long's mate, Robert Van Buren. Hello, Russ and Phil.
Here it's just cold and about crisp.
Freezing. New York in Manhattan, it's raining all day there. We have no weather update from your mother. What do we got here? I'm on.
Don't know what the weather's like in Hertfordshire.
Well, they hurricane. I'll tell you
Hurricanes
what.
hardly ever happen.
Phil, why can't a woman be more like a man? I've always thought that was a bit dubious. I'm on the hot water and lemon ginger too, says Elizabeth Green in Manhattan. Good afternoon from a snowy Faith A. The only reason I'm wearing a hat, by the way, in case you're wondering why I'm wearing a hat, I don't normally, obviously, but because I got a cold, I woke up, my hair looked like Ken Dodd. So I thought I'd just put on a
Mine
hat.
too.
Well,
you know, I was thinking that the reason, if you were saying before about hurricanes hardly ever happening, and so that was often very much associated with the upper echelons, you know, there's more about the stiff upper lip and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I was thinking now, the term stiff upper lip has totally and utterly changed it. I mean, now stiff upper lip normally means you've had too much Botox.
Yeah, then hardly anyone raised an eyebrow. Boom! Thank you. All right, Azadon Brown. Listen,
we're here for at least the next hour.
Such a gag for Leslie Demeter, and I'm not brave enough to do it with her.
Azadon Brown says we've had approximately 7.5 inches since last. 7.5 inches of snow since
Leslie Demeter's going, I love it. That's what she's saying. Right. Well, if you live in the middle of God knows where, good afternoon from wet Spain. Nice to see the B-Day back. The B-Day back with you.
B-Day?
No, I've lost me now. What
B-Day.
does that mean? What does that mean?
B-Days normally wash backsides.
I know they washed Datojas. I don't know what it is. And Michael, anyway, so Michael, are you ever coming back to the UK, or is your sister Stacey stuck with you forever?
Oh, we're on hurricane alert here, says Julie. Goodness.
So will that go? Because my kid lives in Texas now, and he phones me most Sundays, and he shows me the sky. I don't mean his sky dish, and it's always, here Sunday afternoons is disgusting. It's always, I hate Sundays anyway. I absolutely loathe them. I'd rather go straight to Monday, and it's always beautiful and blue. And I said, "How are you?" He said, "Oh, it's 83 today, Dad." And I went, "What?" It's like 83. It was last week. 83 in Austin.
Chile, then.
No, that's South America. This is Austin, Texas.
Oh, sorry.
That's easily done. By the way, your lounge is looking fabulous. I got to be honest with you. It looks great.
Oh, thank you.
It looks really, I love what you've done with it. It's quite roomy.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it was, I had it in mind. You know, when you sort of walk in somewhere and you kind of think to yourself, oh, I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I did actually manage that. You know how some people sort of have this, they get a feeling when they see something.
Yeah.
For the first time, and then they kind of feel like that's
homely, but it's also slightly corporate, which I think sums you up.
Thanks.
It's like you're at home, but you could be at work. It's a wonderful balance, a mélange, a mixture.
Yeah, I get that.
That's what it is. Was that Habitat? The light shades. The light shades are good. They're nice. The lampshades.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's show people so we know what we're talking about here. Hang on 2 seconds. There you go. Oh, look at that. There we are. So that's a very, very Jewish looking lounge at the moment.
Yeah, if you have the Pope.
Cassie is right in the middle.
How is Cassie getting on? Because that's what everybody around the world wants to know. How's your new dog?
Cassie, yeah, she's okay. She's with the folks at the moment because it's a very long work day today.
Don't get another dog, Phil. Don't get. Oh, we love her.
There was an element to that, definitely.
Oh, look at this. This is so rude. I can't even read it out because I'm going to start coughing.
Is Phil's nickname. Nobody knows what it does, but it adds a touch of class
to your ass.
What I was going to say, it's like a bit of but anyway.
Jesus Christ!
Well, thank you. I'm flattered.
That's really lovely to be lumped together with a B-Day. What the bloody hell! Cassie is here. ATM, automatic transfer. At the moment, she's so hip, your mum. Jesus. Kimmy Lashman, wasted already. Oh, nice place, lovely dog. Absolutely. It's 32 the High Street. It's above the kebab shop. He won't be back for an hour.
And can I just say, I've never been wasted. I have never been wasted on radio. That's quite the accusation, Kimmy.
Oh, God, we have. Jeez, we used to do the show. Occasionally, we'd do the breakfast show. And there's at the Fuller's Brewery. If you know London, you know when you're heading down towards Chiswick, there's that huge roundabout. And on the left is the Fuller's Brewery. It's got that wonderful red sign. You know what I'm talking about, Phil?
I'll say yes because it makes me sound uncultured, but I don't think so.
No, it's actually a village in there. It's not just a brewery. It's like a complete village in
I'd live in a village that has its own brewery.
You would indeed, but we'd have to
I'd prefer if it was a distillery, but yeah.
They were, can you imagine? Anyway, they were very pleased to see us. And they obviously got out all the best beer. I don't drink beer, to be honest with you, but, when you're there, you don't want to be. Yeah, the big horses, Elizabeth Green, absolutely, the big Shire horses are kept there. Well, by the time the show started, everybody was trolling. Annie O'Neill, the producer, Mike Osborne, the head of all things tech. Tarrant was roaring. Howard, even Howard was,
Howard Hughes with the booze.
I'm quite merry. And
no, Howard, hang on, you missed a trick there. It's Howard Hughes with the booze.
That's very good.
On it.
I'm Howard Hughes with the new. He's a lovely guy. Weird, but lovely guy. I love this.
It's terrific. I like Howard. I've got a lot of time.
Howard's a very, very nice man.
By the way, whilst we were on that very subject, how was Monday with Tarrant?
Monday was. Monday was. We haven't been able to get together for the Christmas lunch. Chris is very, very generous. Every summer he does a beautiful barbecue down in his home in the country. When I say the country, the middle of nowhere, and at Christmas he always invites us for lunch. Yes, and it wasn't like that. It's funny how things change. We're all a lot older, and of course, because of that little thing called COVID, we hadn't seen each other for like about 3 years, and I think the year before didn't happen. So it was the first time we saw each other. Sadly, three of the main components: Annie O'Neill, our producer, Susan Payton, who was Chris's original PA, they couldn't make it, and SJ, who replaced Annie as producer on the breakfast show, she couldn't make it. They were all ill, or there was no trains. So it was a reduced gathering. But I
love the way he's kept it going, though. That's such a nice thing to do.
It's a generous thing. It's a
because how long ago did it stop?
We finished in 2004.
I mean, how amazing. He's kept it going nearly 20 years. He's 18 years of doing the same thing.
18 years, and the gang is still as warm and as friendly as ever. We had the writer from the show there, Tony, who's coming on to talk about all things comedy next year. He's just a terrific man. And various other friends. But it was very smart. It was in a lovely, lovely old pub, which had a little room, and it was just right up my street. I loved it. It was Victorian, very woody, and it was nice. The food was nice. But I realized several things. One, we're all getting older. For sure.
No one ever got any younger, but yeah.
We haven't got any, we damn well haven't got any younger, you know. That's number one. And number two, three things. Number two, I realized how blessed I was to have worked at a place for 20 years and never had a bad word, never had a falling out, never had a row, never had an. It was amazing. I mean, it's almost unheard of, but it's true.
Look, whatever happened, it would have been far more lively in the Vicar of Dibley reunion, so it's fine.
Oh, there is that, yeah. And the third thing was I was watching, and I talked about
Sorry, too soon.
On Wednesday. I talked about this on. I don't know the Vicar of Dibley that well, to be honest.
Well, out of all the original cast,
like flies
I was going to say, out of all the original cast, only two are still alive. So
that very funny young actress died, didn't she?
It's terrible when she died. She only died in her early 50s. Had heart failure.
Was she? I thought she was younger than that.
Early 50s.
She played the assistant, or whatever you call it.
She played the verger. The verger.
Anyway,
the Virgin Mary.
I was waiting for. I just thought if I hang back, you'll get there eventually.
Thanks.
And I was just thinking how lucky it was never to have had a bad word. I was watching an interview with two guys that I follow a lot on YouTube. One is Mike Brewer of what's it called, Wheeler Dealers, and he was being interviewed by Johnny Smith. What are you doing?
I just had a bright idea.
First time for everything, Phil. Let's not get ourselves. And
I've seen the light.
I've seen the yeah. It's the train coming in the opposite direction, and he did Wheeler Dealers. It became the biggest show on the Discovery Channel. It's in about 170 plus countries, viewed by millions and millions and millions of people. And he did it with Ed China, and they fell out, and no one knows quite what happened. And Ed China
will. No one ever fell out with China before.
No, and despite Ed China's an excellent engineer, and Mike was the Wheeler Dealer, and they grew this little tiny show into one of the biggest shows on the planet. Absolutely huge. There were so many interesting things about mental health.
Animal Planet.
What?
Animal Planet.
No, you're being silly.
I am being silly. I'm always silly.
Talking of silly. There she is. There she
Francine Warner.
Yeah. What is this? No trains? Oh, no trains. Oh my God.
It's true. There are no trains.
What? No tubes?
Well, the tubes are okay, but the main lines, I'm afraid, are a bit up a certain creek.
In a sec. Anyway, I despite Mike Brewer reaching out, Ed China won't speak to him. They worked together for 16 years. They built this thing from nothing into this huge show, and I thought that's really pretty sad when you get to the end of that and you won't speak to each. He just won't talk to him, and it got very bad. But here's the British mentality: when Ed China, when they moved the show to America, because Discovery, they're under contract, they went to America, Mike Brewer got death threats. Not one or two, loads. What a British disease that is. What a British disease. Hating success. And then when Ed China left, he got more death threats. Now, you won't know Mike Brewer because I know you don't care about cars. You buy a Mini, keep it for a few years and buy another Mini. I get that, right? Apart from when you had that Fiat thing, which was a terrible mistake because you thought, well, it's a Fiat. Could have told you. What's the point? And Mike Brewer's a geezer. He's a geezer, right? He's a geezer. And I thought he'd just sort of. No, he couldn't get out of bed some days. The trolling absolutely got to him. Absolutely got to him. And if you know Mike Brewer, you'd think, no, surely not. You know, Phil and me, obviously, would be like two souffles, but not Mike Brewer. But it got to him. He couldn't get out of bed. He said some days he was just drinking to try and forget the trolling. It was that horrible.
Like a souffle gone wrong, you have let yourself down.
Yay! Don't slam that oven door. So horrible. People are disgusting. But as Mike said, you know, if these people, if he met them in the street, they wouldn't say anything, would they? You know that.
No
These
way.
keyboard warrior gits, they wouldn't say anything at all. Why would you want to kill somebody because it's about car repairs?
I know, they're absolutely
just mad,
vile.
aren't they? They're just mad. How can you be that nutty?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. They're absolutely vile.
It's extraordinary.
But they are horrible, and this is the problem.
That's very good. Warriors.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I thought it was quite clever.
Thanks. That was a bit tabloidy, actually. Maybe I better put it to the correct spelling just in case.
But it is an awful thing, and everybody, when we're ignoring people, see, what is this? No, Elizabeth, honestly, I don't understand this. Ignoring people seems a very British thing too. No,
sorry, I just took the message off. I'm sorry. There you go. That's better.
What? How do you mean? Just say what's on your mind. Well, that's not the British way, is it?
But hang on a second. So here's my problem.
Loudly.
Here is my problem. If you are prepared to say something on social media that you would not have the gall to say to someone's face, don't say it.
Don't say it. Shut the hell up.
It's just as simple as that. Because what's happened is social media has given carte blanche to people to have a voice who absolutely, A, don't deserve a voice, and B, their opinion is so unbelievably worthless. It's not even mentioning it now. But the problem is with that is that it encourages others to do the same.
Yeah, because they think
it's just a platform.
As you know, it's called a pylon. I don't mean it's an electricity pylon. It's called a pile-on. And it's disgusting, J.K. Rowling gets it for nothing. Nothing.
But even to a small degree, like if you put yourself out there in the limelight, you know, regardless of how small it is, people can jump on. I mean, even in the most trivial comparison, I have had absolute abuse whenever I'm sort of on another TV station, just because they think.
Well, I've seen the show, Phil, and
frankly,
is
it's
it
justified.
Uncalled for? I mean, is it really?
To be fair. But
look
even
yourself
so,
in the mirror and go, no, it's disgusting. You know, you've worked your backside off. That's why you need the B-Day. You've worked your backside off for many, many years, right? And now, finally, at another radio station, apart from this, because I love this.
Apart from this, obviously, I mean, this one goes without saying. Though.
Well, I'm still thrilled and delighted you rock up every Friday because I know how busy you are. But so you go on this
great honor to have me.
They fight. Yeah, right. Great, no pressure. And they say, Phil, give Phil, you know, put him in front of the mic. And people like, what is the matter with you? If you don't like it, piss off and listen to something else.
Oh, quite.
Change channels. Don't get all hoity-toity about it. If you don't want to watch reality, I don't watch reality shows, so I don't get hysterical about it. I never watch them, so I don't care. It's irrelevant. I like that. I like what you've done. That's from last year, isn't it? I like
I was going to say, I just noticed. I'm really sorry. I forgot to put the Christmas decorations
I was waiting for this. It's not my nickname. I think it's bloody rude, but it's Paul.
Don't like that nickname for Phil.
Paul Claridge is on drugs. We don't like that nickname. I don't like that nickname. It's just rude. What do we got here? Phil.
Asa, you are absolutely correct. Let's leave it at that. All right. No. Oh, sorry. Asa says, Phil, you're absolutely correct. It's enabled people to be brutal in ways that they wouldn't be face to face. Amen to that. I've received some pretty egregious. I'm going to say that. Egregious. Thank you. Pretty egregious messages. Isn't it weird? There are just some messages that some words that just trip you up, and I can never say whatever you just said.
I'll tell you mine.
Okay. Right. Pretty awful messages and even physical letters via the mail. That's horrific. Seriously. This is exactly my point. Is that this is what social media enables. Is it enables people the chance to say stuff that they wouldn't ordinarily say to your face, and it almost gives their voice some sort of validity when it's got none whatsoever.
Look. When I was back at Capital, there wasn't any internet back then. It wasn't that long ago. It started in 1984. and we'd get our share of nutters. And I'm
2
sorry,
years
and,
before I was born.
shut your face, and just shut up. Just shut that. Just shut up. Anyway, I'm not sure I like you today. Anyway, anywho, we'd get our share of nutters, and I'm sorry to say that on a mental health radio station, but they were completely bonkers, and that's all there is to it. Right, and you'd know they were bonkers because the letters would arrive in green ink. I've talked about this before, but the ink would be green. You go, oh Christ, nutter alert, and you'd open.
Well, you know why they do that? Is to make it stand out.
Well, but the point I made, and then they'd just be talking like insanity. I mean, absolute insanity. You know, I was stalked for 3 years by a group of people.
All right, well, I've stopped now.
Yeah, but that's at least where the good thing is that's how I met you. I said, look, you're so fond of me. Come and work with me. No,
Phil and Russ. Also, it's a very good mutual friend of ours gets some most vile online abuse and threats from so-called fellow dog lovers for simply stating an opinion, calling out abuse.
Yeah, but they're not dog lovers. They're lunatics. You know, it's like what could be that contentious? She's not giving dog recipes, is she? She's not saying take your dog.
See, the thing that annoys me. You're right, by the way. You know, when you say about how you're sorry to use the word nutter or anything like that on the radio stations about mental health, the difference is I put it to you that to someone who is in that position, that is actually someone who is the definition of a nutter, not someone who has serious mental health problems. That's not a nutter, and that's absolutely why I think that it's important to regain control of that terminology. If someone describes someone who genuinely has an illness as a nutter, well, to me, they're worth nothing. They're a waste of space. But if you describe someone who is vile towards another human being, I absolutely call that nutty.
It is, and I know it's provocative language, but you know, these people stalked me for years. Wherever I went, every event, and they'd turn up, and they'd be not as bad as some of the women got it, because the women had to leave by the back entrance and be escorted and all this crap. And I said to her, and I'd always be taking pictures. It was before camera phones. So take pictures. And I said to this woman, I said, you must have enough pictures. You've been following me now for like 2-3 years. How many pictures do you? Listen. And she said to me, "Oh, this will make you want to vomit." But this is what it's like. She said, "I've got 2,000 pictures of you, Russ." Oh, Christ. Okay. And what I've done, they're all over my wall. I've had them blown up. I'm going, oh Jesus! Please don't get this any worse. Oh, it got worse. And I've had them made into sheets. I nearly threw up. She'd got the pictures and had them converted into sheets on her. The thought of it to this day makes me want to vomit. And she couldn't see
most days you had a duvet day. Good Lord.
She couldn't see anything peculiar about this. That she had 2,000 pictures. And I'm always looking the same. You know, I'm hardly George freaking Clooney. And then had them made into giant posters. Oh, horrible.
So on many a day when she slept, you covered the South Circular. Good Lord.
Yeah, there you go. What does Ramsey say? Happy birthday, by the way, Ramsey. The problem with the anonymity on the internet can be solved in a stroke if politicians, if they so wanted it. They can't get rid of all the bots. They can't get rid of all the fake accounts.
No, do you know the only way it could be resolved, this is my humble opinion, is that I think you need to actually make it mandatory that you charge people to use social media. I know that would be that would cause outrage for some, because then they say, hang on, there are those who can't afford it, they want to use it, blah, blah, blah. But tough, because then to me, it actually sort of gives you an example of someone who's serious about it. Or better still, this is the way I think it should be. Free at the point of use, and everyone is allowed to use it. However, if someone is found guilty, that everyone has to put in credit card details, viable credit card details, or bank details. If anyone is found guilty of somehow either abusing or something along those lines, offending, whatever it may be, breaking rules of social media accounts, instantly they get fined something like 20, 30 pounds, whatever it is.
But here's the problem. But here's the problem. The problem is what is offensive to you and I. To them, they don't see it as. If you take J.K. Rowling, I'm not going to get embroiled in the trans route. I don't care, and B, I don't care.
I get that.
I'm just not getting involved.
But there are some things that are a blatant violation of
totally
law.
This
so when you sort of say inciting hatred, If someone is acting in a racist
but
way,
they won't be taken down. They're not taken down. I report people several times a week and get them blind, but sometimes I get the report back from Twitter. We've looked into this. Nothing to see. I'm going, what? This is like Hitler here. What, nothing to see. This is like the Goebbels of Twitter. What's the matter with you? What is the matter with you, for God's sake? There's a fascinating thing that this is how far you can take it. You know, I'm obsessed with sort of all things American, always have been. And at night, I watch all the American news shows and the sort of the magazines, apart from The View, because I've never seen. Oh, Jesus Christ! They once had an idea and it died of loneliness. Anyway, there is a guy. Well, I can't say guy. I've got to be very careful because they're so litigious, these people. Non-binary. And he was in charge of nuclear waste recycling disposal. He had some huge highfalutin federal government title, right? He looked like a raving lunatic. I'm sorry, but if you saw the pictures of this guy, and put that to one side, he can do what he likes in his private life, but he's been found guilty of stealing luggage at airports. Now, this is a proper senior, under the Democrats, official dealing with nuclear waste with this huge title. It's not some, it's not a bloke on a dust cart, and even that wouldn't be acceptable. At least they do an honest job. No one could say anything because he hid behind I'm non-binary. So no one cares about that. What they care about, matey, is Sam is the name, non-binary Sam. So you're wandering around the dress and you've got a freaking great moustache. Seriously, is that you're stealing other people's luggage, not once but twice, and no one, the press dare not even talk about it. The press didn't want to go there. Why? Because they get hounded. Oh, you hate this? No, the guy's a thief. The thing that
irritates me is I completely and utterly understand the whole trans thing. So if someone is transitioning from male to female to male, whatever it may be, I get that wholeheartedly. Okay, because I think for someone to put themselves through that, both mental and physical pain, they must be pretty desperate to do that. So I do get that.
I agree with that.
Here's where I have an issue. It's when someone starts deciding their gender, because gender is very different to sex.
Just crap.
And it's just, it to me is a load of bunkum, and I get very grumpy about it because I just think you can't wake up and decide you're going to go against biology.
You can. I saw it.
You can't. I mean, you can say what you want, but you can't.
Listen to this. This is how mad this world is. I saw a post that it was not a parody account, because there's some brilliant parody accounts, but this was not. And this woman was saying, I'm going to say this and you'll think I've got it wrong, and I haven't. No child should be assigned a name at birth or sex. They should just be given a number. This is where we are in 2022. It's got to stop. Speaking of things that we don't want to stop, she is the queen of the silver screen.
I think she needs to put the heating on.
And she needs to put the heating on. She's either that or she's got the windows there, but it's only Chantal Richards.
Oh, what?
Hello.
Hi, Chantal.
I've now had no heating for a week.
Oh, my God.
Oh my gracious me, of all the weeks not to have heating. Good grief.
But I am sitting at my desk. I've got my little hot water bottle.
Bless her. Bless.
Just to keep my fingers warm so I can use the computer.
Oh, God, I'm wearing this thick thing. You can probably tell I decided to get a cold. That started last night. That was marvelous. No idea why. Anyway, when do they think they're going to fix your heating?
Well, I'm in negotiation with my engineer, who I'm rather hoping will be over next week, because otherwise...
Oh, my God.
Miserable Christmas.
Oh, that's going to be horrible.
I know.
Have you not got a fireplace, Chantal?
Well, I have got a fireplace, but it's not in my office. So
I see. Oh, that does make that's reasonable, I suppose.
Set part of all the posts that you get, all the stuff. They just gather around that.
Well, you know what I find often helps warming up?
Yes.
Just moving around and dancing a bit.
Oh, here we go. That's very clever.
Oh, yes, indeed. We do love TV. And who better to talk us through some sort of TV for the weekend and the week that lies ahead with Chantal Richards. Look at that.
was really
well, it's lovely to be here. And I was enjoying your chat, although I'm really worried about Russ's stalker. I've never heard you tell that story.
No, I've not heard it before either.
I often talk about it. It went on for years. Absolutely years. And they couldn't get rid of them. And
the funny thing is, of course, is that there was such demand for it. In the end, Dunelm actually decided to start stocking those very bed sheets with the photos on it.
So. Do you know the weird thing was, Chantal, is that when you're walking down the street and they're right in your face, you can't slap them, you can't push them, you can't punch, you can't do anything because you'll be done for assault. So what are they doing? They're walking down a pavement. They're just choosing to walk right by you, and you're trying to be polite because they're listeners and you don't want any problem. I won't be this polite now, but back then when I was young, I was trying to be polite and be good on behalf of the company. But boy, they pushed it to the freaking limit. They really did.
Horrible. I had for about 2 minutes a bloke who would follow me around the supermarket.
That was Lloyd Beanie.
Was it Lloyd?
That was him.
No, that was the security guard.
Yeah, because you look shit.
Didn't trust the look at you.
They're putting ducks on, just opening the jacket, whole chicken.
All of those. How many bottles of Moe do you need for crying out loud?
Well, that was it.
Never
it was the smoked salmon I was after. No,
I
had.
Be warned, it may contain traces of fish. But anyway. Elizabeth Green. I heard bar and oh my goodness me, Elizabeth Green is taking the gender thing to a whole new level. I heard bar and bat mitzvahs, of course, bar being for boys, bat being for girls, are now referred to as bee mitzvahs. Oh, please, for heaven's sakes. How shocking.
Just absolutely wrong. Anyway, moving on. What has come across your I saw a marvelous film. It'll be very, very quick. Very quick.
Right, let's have a chat about the marvelous film.
It was called God's Crooked Lines, and it's Spanish, and the Spanish make sensational thrillers.
Right.
Their thrillers are just great, and it looks on one level. It's 2.5 hours, and I thought,
okay, bit long.
Right. But I kept turning to Ebony, the mini schnauzer, and go, I didn't see that coming. Whoa! Because it twists and turns, and the thing is, the going in is it's a private detective, and she is hired to uncover what happened to a death, and the death took place in an asylum, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, pretty hardcore. And that's all I'm going to say. It's called God's Crooked Lines, and whoa!
And what's it on?
Well, 35 mil, I think. It's on. Wait a minute. It is on Netflix. It's on Netflix. I'm hilarious. It's on Netflix because it's Spanish. The Spanish Netflix thing. The Spanish thrillers are just
the Spanish Netflix.
I watch a lot of that stuff.
Oh,
and it's called God's Crooked Lines.
God's Crooked Lines. It's a one-off film, and it's on Netflix, as Julie Voice says, in Houston, Texas. And if you like twisty, like what? Oh, who? Wait, what? It's one of those. Loved it. Loved it. It was great.
Okay, well, that sounds very good. I'm looking for something for the weekend, so that might be my.
I think you'll enjoy it.
What about TV?
Hey.
I'll set them up, you knock them down. Exactly.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Actually, having said that, speaking of Netflix, I saw this marvelous, and it is most certainly not the one that everyone is talking about, but marvelous documentary series called Our Universe. It has totally, and I'm really not just saying this, but totally and utterly changed my understanding / perspective of how basically everything we take for granted has come to be. It's the most extraordinary production, and bravo Netflix for putting this together. What it does is it looks at all of the scientific matter that has come together over literally billions of years from the Big Bang right up to the present day as to how we've come to be. It just totally and utterly freaked me out. I'm not suggesting for a second that I thought that there was some bloke sitting up there on a big white fluffy cloud, and in one day he made the heaven and the earth and all that.
In 7 days.
I know that didn't happen.
Look, Chantal can't even get her heating fixed.
I know, but
how can you make everything that's ever existed in 7 days?
I mean, let's be honest.
6 days.
It does explain why more haste, less speed. If you made everything in this world in 7 days, it explains why a lot goes wrong. But anyway,
there's a wonderful comic, and I forgot who was doing the thing. Who said, "Where's the rush?" Because when you think of it, he goes, and I've forgotten who it was. It was a fantastic routine.
Seth Rogen.
No, it wasn't Seth. He did this
Gilbert
thing.
Gottfried.
No. No, it wasn't Gilbert. It was, and the guy was saying it. I'd never thought about it. He says, where it's American, obviously. He goes, where's the rush? There is literally nobody waiting for anything. There's nobody there. Take your time. I just thought, yes. If you watch those science films, what those science documentaries, what used to be seen as completely sort of bonkers theory is the multiverse, which I touch on in my last book. But the multiverse probably exists. The cutting edge science says that the multiverse probably does exist. And what it means is, with the Big Bang, it was probably coming from another it's like one of many. So these could have been going back for. We have no sense of time.
I'm telling you, seriously, Our Universe. Do watch it. It is on Netflix. It's an extraordinary documentary series. Really, really fascinating insight into scientific matter that has come to be. Because literally everything you see around you is matter. Think of it like that. Everything is matter,
and everything's vibrating. And everything is vibrating.
And then suddenly nothing else matters. Thank you.
Well, I am going to check that out because there has been a documentary series recently that has been massively discredited. And I'm just wondering if it's the same one. I'm not sure it is, but I looked it up because I watched the first episode and I thought, God, this is absolutely
Was it pertaining to two people who used to be a part of the royal family?
No. We've got a ban on that. We're not discussing that.
It definitely wasn't.
Giving them any more airtime. Thank you.
But
sorry,
if it's
I
the same
apologize.
one, and I'm going to have to double check, I would caveat your...
Take it with a massive pinch of salt. Okay.
Have a look and see if it's the same one, because if it is, and I read up on it, I thought I'm not going to recommend it on the radio because it sounds...
no, that's really worrying then. Now, have I just fallen for it? But
no,
okay,
it's not a question of falling. It's a question.
And it was definitely a Netflix documentary, was it?
I'm almost sure it was a Netflix documentary series, and it started about 4 weeks ago.
But guys, the thing is, it's not a question. Basically, people have different camps. I don't mean Timmy, Alexis, Carrington, Ward. People have different camps in which they think that their theory is correct. And these are very, very... I'm not talking about I was abducted and had a probe shoved somewhere and I'm telling you they're real. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really cutting edge, scientists. And
I'm really pleased to report, I've just looked it up, it's not the same one. The documentary series in question that you're talking about is called Ancient Apocalypse.
You're right.
God, what a load of...
I'm talking about the one called Our Universe, which absolutely is fascinating.
Okay. Ancient aliens. How you can keep rinsing that crap out is unbelievable, but they can't get enough of it.
I did actually interview somebody years ago who said they'd been captured by an alien, and it was one of the more interesting interviews I've ever done in my life.
Were they on the beach in Kent? Moving on. Sorry. Only because I saw David. Funny enough, the moment I said the gag, David Wimble came up. All the best to you. Just loading. This is great. Just loading the van ahead of tonight's mega drive to Poland. Thanks for publicizing.
Oh, wow.
David, with some other people, they literally are loading up vans with supplies, getting to the Polish-Ukraine border, and what a guy!
Amazing.
Wow. Say what you will, but I'm proud to be associated with it.
Well done, David.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. This is great. Paul Claridge says, I think Brian Cox,
the Wimble of Wimbledon,
is an alien or a wizard. He never seems to age. And name the band that he.
Yeah, but to be fair, everyone said that.
Name the band.
Everyone said that about Bruce Forsyth as well. He never seemed to age until one day he just wasn't around anymore.
So he did age. Name the band Brian Cox was in.
Name the band.
You'll start off at 10. Have to hurry you.
Oh, hang on. I was just going to say, was it the one that did that Tony Blair song?
The Tony Blair theme song?
Yeah. Oh, God.
No, it was a good song.
It was a good song.
It's a good song. It was just such a terrible shame what it was associated with.
There you go. Do you know what kills me? When you thought about playing songs which are completely inappropriate.
Oh, Julie got it right.
Yeah, D-Rim. Absolutely right. Well done, Jill.
It took me a long time to realise why they were called D-Ream.
It probably did. Yeah.
Well, it's because it's
no one ever
Dream,
said he's
but
smart.
it just took me a while
Chantal,
to
he's
work it
just cheap.
out.
Chantal, he's not smart. He's just cheap. Like it's more like an afford. Now then, in America, some of the big games and some of the political rallies, they play Gary Bloody Glitter.
Oh,
They just don't get it.
I know.
And it's like, you
Oops.
can't, no. Just
I have to say, there were quite a lot of bands that complained to Donald Trump about him using their music as the sort of warm-up music before he came on stage, and asked for it to be withdrawn, and said that they absolutely didn't want their music associated with
the
it.
latest lawsuit is the estate of the great Tom Petty. It's Tom Petty's children, who are grown up, obviously, because Carrie Lake, be still my beating heart. Oh, Carrie Kane, as I like to call her. Anyway, Carrie Lake, because of the way she's going and she's suing the voting thing, she played Tom Petty Won't Back Down. And Tom Petty's family said, we didn't give you permission to play that at your rallies. Shut up. Now they're suing. There you go.
So now they've got into a bit of a petty argument.
Hey! Hey! Boom, tish, bang. Right. What else have you found?
It's Sen Monroe, everybody. He says, hello, folks. I hope all is well. Hi, Sen.
Well, I'm not well. Be honest with you, I'm not particularly. Anyway, Chantal, what have you found?
Right. I am going to give you what I think is probably possibly my favorite documentary of the year, which has just come out. I saw it about 2 months ago, luckily enough, through BAFTA ways and means. It's absolutely wonderful. It is so cheerful. It's like a perfect Christmas movie where all good things happen. It is completely wonderful. It's not a Christmas movie. It's a documentary film made by Steven Spielberg's company and George Lucas's company. And it's got John Williams music, and it's called Goodnight Oppie. And it's about two rovers that go to Mars. We're not talking
Rover
dogs
75 and a Rover 100 with the doctors. I'm kidding.
Not a Rover 100 and not dogs. But
not a Rover Mini Metro.
No, seriously, I know this sounds crazy, but it is
it's great.
Beautiful, beautiful documentary. It's NASA sent 2 rovers to Mars in 2003. I don't think I was even really that aware of it.
You weren't born in 2003, Chantal.
Oh, miss you, if only. One is called Spirit and one is called Opportunity, which is why this documentary.
I back Spirit.
Good Night Oppie. No, the documentary is called Good Night Oppie. It is not called Good Night Spirit. Okay. But it's basically fly on the wall with loads around the team at the Jet Propulsion Lab. I don't know if you remember it, Russ, the JPL in Pasadena, in California, where they send these rockets off from, and or they build the rovers there, and they go off in a rocket, probably from Cape Canaveral, and off they go to Mars. And they land about 6 months later, and they are expecting these 2 rovers to last maybe 45 days, maybe 90 days at a push. And that's where the story starts. But it's sort of it's overlaid with this idea that these rovers take on sort of human characteristics, and all of the people that you meet, the scientists, you'd think would be really sort of dour and humorless and have no sort of personality of their own. They're completely invested in the relationship with these 2 rovers. It is so beautifully made. It's sort of the best of E.T. It's for real.
It's for real, isn't it?
It sounds a little bit like WALL-E, the Disney film.
It is very like WALL-E in terms of there's a piece of metal, but actually somehow it's imbued with human characteristics. I think that's called anthropomorphism.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
I really think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's nearly 2 hours long, and every single frame is worth watching. It's just beautiful.
Keeps coming up on my suggestions, and
possibly something that's not worth every single frame. Lee Durnford, good afternoon. Just off for a jog in my budgie smugglers.
Well, you know why Lee's saying that yesterday. Before, right? It's on Netflix, Elizabeth. It's on Netflix.
And Elizabeth wants to know where she can see the budgie smugglers. Oh, I see. No, you're talking about the documentary, right? Okay, sorry.
Amazon. Amazon.
Oh, is it Amazon? I'm so sorry. I thought
No, it's Amazon. Okay.
What do I know? I know nothing.
Well, she says on where? Like, where do you think the budgie smugglers are? There's only
Well,
so many
they're-
places you can wear
they're
them.
on his head. Yes,
I
Tweet
think
about it.
dressed up like Chantal, but even more so.
Yeah.
I'm walking Ebony the mini schnauzer. It is minus God knows what. I am
I know.
freezing.
Current
my-
temperature where I am, actually, that's
I'm
an idea.
just freezing.
Oh, it
And
is actually freezing where I am. At the
Yeah,
moment.
it's so cold.
It
It's so cold.
definitely is here.
And I can hear pad, 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 pad behind me, even though I'm listening to a book. I hear pad, pad, pad from a jogger. Oh, okay, idiot. He comes past me. He's only wearing shorts. This is yesterday. He's just wearing shorts and trainers. That's it.
No
I'm
shirt.
like-
Well, hang on. Whoa. What, you mean nothing up top?
Nothing. He's
He's
bare
only-
chested. He is wearing very small shorts
Short
and
shorts.
trainers. And I'm dressed up like I'm
Outrageous.
going to the Antarctic and I'm still freezing my backside off. And I'm thinking, what the bloody hell?
You didn't stop and ask him.
Nutter alert. I think I did. But, you know, how could he not? You see, I think aliens land at night. Not these people off because he's not human. He can't be.
Aliens would land, take one look and say, forget that.
Forget it, mate. Forget it. We're off. Yeah, why bother?
Not worth dominating this lot.
Not even worth stopping by for a cuppa. What else?
Hey ho. Well, I was because we Steven Spielberg, Russ. I was just going to briefly mention The Fabelmans, which you and I saw together on
Yes, we did.
Wednesday. It's not out for another few weeks in the UK, but I think it's already out in the USA. And wondered whether you just wanted to spend a couple of minutes telling us what you thought of The Fabelmans.
Oh, I thought it. All right. The problem is,
Tell everybody what it is.
it's basically.
Yeah, Russ.
You're getting a bit bolshy, boy. You're getting a little bit bolshy. Remember, I know where you live. Actually, I don't know where he lives anyway. I'll get the information.
Haven't invited him round yet.
You're bloody right. God forbid. Anyway, it's. I don't know how much of it is true. It's essentially, as Steven Spielberg said in the lovely little introduction, that it's the most personal film he's ever made, and it's looking at how he started as a kid, and his obsession with film. So it shows him with his parents, who are interesting, and his siblings, and what happens to his early life. You don't know how much of it is true, how much of it is God
It's
knows.
done
I
as
mean,
a drama.
it's all done as a drama. The acting is jolly good. My problem is it's a Steven Spielberg film, so you expect it's got to be. You got to sit there and go, wow, that's why he's the greatest. It was very, very nice. Like Jane Lush, mutual friend, she loved it. She loved it. A lot of other people loved it. I really liked it, and I really enjoyed it. You could hear me chuckling along at some of the funny bits. But I thought, I've seen all these films, you know, having a tough time in the American high school. I mean, how many films? I understand it's your life. I get that. But I've seen it. Does that sound awful? But it was very, very it's very, very pleasant. It's very nice to watch. One thing I would say, and Spielberg would never speak to me like he's going to speak to me, but
I was going to
don't
say,
need to
are
sit
you
in
on
someone-
regular contact?
Well, he drives me mad. Russ, when can I make the gatekeeper? I said, Stephen, give me I'll let you know. You don't need to see it in the cinema. I don't think you need I don't know. You could totally disagree. I'd be perfectly happy watching that at home.
Yeah.
It's a lovely film. It's just not, you don't want to go to the cinema for it.
Yeah. I mean, interestingly, at the beginning of the awards season, which I've mentioned before, and we're now right in the middle of it, that it came out as one of the films that everybody seemed to think was going to win everything. Now, we haven't got to the awards because the awards happen in January and February, and maybe it will win some. But it seems to have gone down the popularity rankings. And other things have overtaken its popularity in terms of, you know, potential success. So could be interesting.
I loved the acting. The acting was you couldn't complain, but it gets quite technical, because one of the things with technical film, when someone's obsessed with something, unless you share that obsession about editing, and I've done editing, it's the most boring thing. That's why I never directed anything else ever, because you had to edit it, and I can't. Other people adore it. They love it. They get lost in that world, and that was what Spielberg was. So it goes into quite depth about that sort of thing, and you're going, okay, you edit. All right, I get it. But you know, it's like me and cigars. If you're not into cigars and you start talking about it for 2 hours, it's like, Jesus, Russ, shut the hell up. It's a cigar. Well, not to everybody. So it's the same sort of thing. But it looked great, obviously. My favorite bit was the meeting with John Ford. I absolutely adored the end bit. Thought it was marvelous. That's David Lynch plays that part. We sat there watching the credits. That was the David Lynch playing John Ford, which was great. Art imitating art. There we are.
Anyway, so I thought I would throw that in and just ask you what you thought about it, and we'll see whether it wins.
More importantly, my opinion doesn't matter a hill of beans in this crazy world. See, but no, it doesn't. But you are.
No, I beg to differ. Actually, I think your opinion matters greatly.
Phil, you're not getting a Christmas present, Phil. Forget it. You can be as creepy as you like. What did you think? I mean, this is a huge film. What did you think of it? More importantly, because you can dissect it.
I want to get your opinion printed on a tea towel.
Well, actually, no, because my opinion.
Are the drugs kicking in now, Phil? Is that what's going on?
My opinions are the size of a sheet, not a detail. So it could take some
like a bed sheet.
Please don't remind me of that crap. I just don't want to go back there.
You literally, you've opened up such a can of worms now.
I don't want to go there again. Thank you. Did you like it? You enjoyed it? We both enjoyed it. I quite
liked it, but basically it's about a child who has problems at school because he's a young Jewish boy, and there are clearly some people out there.
They're the only Jews.
Welcome to my world already.
And then the other side is that his parents split up. And other than that, and then he sort of gets lost in a world of filmmaking, which clearly is something he's passionate about, and it's a retreat for him. But that's the whole story. That's it.
There is nothing else. There's
nothing else.
And what it doesn't do, which I kind of would have, because some sections were so long, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, for God's sake, let's go to the next scene, because this is like watching paint dry. But what it didn't do is say how he got from walking up the studio lot without a job. He's a young kid. He's, I don't know, 19 or something. How did he get? I'd love to have seen the first job, what he did, how he springboarded into his, fame and fortune. And he's a fantastic filmmaker. I'm sure he's a lovely, lovely man. I mean, he just comes across as a charming, lovely man.
Yeah. No, felt a bit self-indulgent. Anyway, moving on.
It's his story, isn't it? I was thinking.
I was going to say, but isn't telling one's own story? Isn't that the definition? Is self-indulgent?
The very definition of I'm going to be a bit self-indulgent. He would play Phil Dave, John Malkovich. John Malkovich would have to play you. That'd be
really.
Perfect. That'd be great.
I was thinking more Grace Jones.
Bit weird.
Well, I used to have hair like her.
I remember how it nearly caught on fire every time we were near a naked flame.
It's true, actually. Yeah.
This made me. This is how stupid I am, Chantal. Right. This is how stupid I am.
Oh, this is
the Alamo. Right. This is Julie Voice lives in Houston. My kid lives in Texas as well.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I took blah 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 blah. Went to the Alamo." And I said, "Do you know what, son? It's so great. You're there. You're investing in the heritage, and you're showing the family the history of the area. That's great." I went, "Dad, it's the local cinema."
Oh,
it's the name of a cinema chain in Texas.
No.
I didn't. I walked right into it. I felt an idiot. There you go. I don't think he saw the joke.
Hey ho.
Hey ho. Right, 5 minutes.
Right, 5 minutes. Something that you like, Russ, I think you have told me in the past, is Strike on BBC One.
Oh, yes. Excellent casting. Excellent. Yes. Best casting ever, I think.
Tom Burke and Holiday Granger. He's a cop who is an ex-military man who has a gammy leg, for want of a better phrase.
He doesn't have a leg, putting it politely.
Oh, okay.
Blown off.
But that
went out on a limb.
Stop it.
What?
Would you let Chantal speak, please?
Sorry, had me stumped.
Oh.
No. Take that
is
back.
So disgusting.
Take that back.
I don't want to hear this. That is.
I meant no arm. Anyway.
If you don't stop, I swear to God, you're 2 train stops away from me. 2, right? I'm going to, ill as I am, I'm going to get on that train and slap.
The game's afoot. Keep going.
Stop it now.
I'll find one you like. I don't care.
Jesus Christ. He's a detective. He lives in Denmark Street. Take it.
He does. This is season 5, BBC One. The bit of the story that I absolutely love. It's it's 4 parts over 4 nights, but it's already there on the iPlayer.
I binge watched it.
Did you
get through it? I don't sleep anyway, so I just binge watch the whole thing.
Binge watched it. It's a 4-parter. It's a cold case. He's going back to the disappearance of a woman from 1976 who was a GP in London. Anyway, that's the story. The story that I really want to know about is whether Holiday Granger, who plays the assistant to Tom Burke, the character who was Cormoran Strike, are they going to get it together? And that's
they
the
don't
only
in the book.
thing that the
They
girls
don't
are
in,
talking
they
about.
don't in the books. It's a great case of unrequited love.
Oh,
The
you
cast-
should never have told me that.
Without-
You've spoiled it for
Well, she
me.
hasn't finished. She's writing more of them. Relax.
Oh, it's shit. Oh,
She hasn't finished. She's on a
Russell,
roll.
how could you?
Oh, JK. Not who used to head up Jamiroquai. Just kidding. It's the casting's great. Now, I've got a question for you in the last 3 minutes, right?
right.
It was this book. It's called Troubled Blood.
It was.
Did you see anything? You've watched it now, and I read the book and watched the series as well. I read all of the Robert Galbraith's books. I like them, apart from the last one, which was 1,000+ pages and 36 hours on audiobook. It was ridiculous.
Too much.
It'll be impossible to film.
Hey, I'm currently listening to Great Expectations on audiobook. Don't tell me about an audiobook that goes on forever.
Oh, wow.
So-
Here's the thing. Did you find anything transphobic in it? It's a serious question.
Well, no, but actually, it is a very interesting question because that is the book that seemingly kicked off the whole transphobia.
But there's nothing in it.
No, it's
nothing in it.
downplayed completely. Yeah.
I thought to myself, the reason I asked, because you're much smarter than I will ever be, and I thought, well, maybe I'm missing this because I've watched the show. It wasn't edited out. I've read the book, right? And I'm going, what are these people seeing that I'm not seeing?
There was certainly nothing in the television production that would
There's nothing in the book either. There's nothing in the book.
So for those that don't know, that was the big controversy around J.K. Rowling, that she had written in a character who dressed up as a man, and that this was somebody who was mentally unwell and shouldn't have been dressing up as a man. Anyway, that's where the controversy started.
And
probably
it's not even a main thing. It's like a couple of lines where they're trying to. All she's trying to do is sow red herrings. Anyway, it was. I just wanted to double check and sort of that I wasn't going around the bend. And had missed the great. It's fun. It's good. It's got a good ending. The ending's good. The ending's really good.
3 episodes. Got 1 more to go today.
You won't see it coming. You
Well,
won't
as long as there's a kiss at the end of it, that's all I'm waiting for.
Well, Chantas, there's a hug, and then
I'm not talking to you again. You're giving it all away.
Well, don't worry. He's run out of time to give it away, Chantal, so it's absolutely fine. He won't give you any more spoilers for now. But there you go. What a way to say thank you for all the work you put into this program is by giving everything away. We're off for Christmas drinks next week, aren't we? This is exciting.
We're meeting. I hope you get your heating on because it's ridiculous. If not, just get Phil and set fire to him. It burns for hours. He's marvelous.
It's fine.
Like a little candle. He is.
Absolutely. Burning bright.
Burning.
Good weekend.
Everybody.
You as well.
Thank you
so
much.
much.
Thanks for watching all over the world. Love it. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.